Lower Depths, The Lower Depths. It's two movies called The Lower Depths, but based on the same play and translated in two different languages. This one's in French and this one's Japanese. Yeah. Hello there, Nate Jackson, Criterion Collection Reviewer Guy here, number 239. Jean Renoir's Les Bas-Fonds and Akira Kurosawa's Don Zoko, which both based on a Russian play by Maxim Gorky called The Lower Depths. So they both basically translate into The Lower Depths. And yeah, we got a twofer. Two great directors who made two movies almost 20 years apart based on the same play. Akira Kurosawa is, I think, definitely inspired by Renoir. They met, and he wanted to do a movie based on the same play, and so I guess that's how it happened. But anyway, yeah, play is an older Russian play, and I'm just gonna give you the basics of from what I get as to what's shared in the places. I've never seen the play, and I don't know if I'd ever want to, but basically, I'm assuming that you get the gist of it from here. So, from what I can understand, it's set in this slum, and there are all these different characters. And one of them is an actor who the most profound and most eccentric and the most memorable is this actor who randomly spews all these different lines, and he's just very eccentric and acts all weird and stuff. And there's the landlord, the landlord's wife, and the landlord's wife's sister. And then there's a thief who steals and gives money to the poor patrons of the slum, and also has an affair with the landlord's wife, but is also lusting after the landlord's wife's sister, or actually falls for her. I don't know if he necessarily lusts for her. The landlord's wife is sick of the landlord and tries to seduce the thief into killing the landlord so that they can be together, but the thief doesn't want anything to do with it, and the thief doesn't want anything to do with her anymore anyway because he's falling for her sister. And so when she finds out about this, she gets upset with the sister, and eventually the landlord finds out about this, the landlord and his wife try to beat up the sister, and the thief finds out and tries to gets himself in the fight, and somewhere in it the landlord is killed. And a lot of the wife blames the thief, although no one really is sure how he died. Just so happens that he just got hit by something or someone. And so, but in the end, the thief is arrested anyway, and then that's basically how it is. And then at the end of the film or the play, the actor kills himself, hangs himself. And that's basically it. And it's sort of like, as far as I can tell, it's basically mostly about how life, these poor people try to live their lives and try to make the best of their situation, and that's all I could pick up from it. Now the differences. Now, Renoir's film is basically, stars Jean Gabin, our favorite Jean Gabin, as the thief, and from what I can understand, at the end, it's basically the endings are what seems to be the most different of them all. Renoir goes for the happy ending. At the end of the film, the wife basically just forgets about him, and she ends up moving out. She ends up leaving the sister to her own devices, and the sister waits for the thief, and when he gets out of jail, she's there to welcome him, and they start a new life together. Very similar to the end, and the ending, I couldn't help but think that with the two of them eating in a field and with their knapsack and walking off on this dusty road, it really gave me the sense that Renoir swiped that straight from Chaplin's Modern Times, because it's basically almost the same ending, them the two lovers in this field, and they walk off in this distance and all that. Although and it's this really trippy shot. Although in with Chaplin we see them walk off into the sunset, but with Renoir we see the lovers walking, and the camera pulls the camera pulls away, and the shot like gets smaller and smaller, as a kind of an inverse Chaplin, I guess. So yeah, it's a really neat ending. He goes, like I said, he goes for the happy ending. Um, and another big, huge subplot at the beginning of the movie is that it starts off with this baron who lost like all his money from gambling, and so he's destitute, and this thief goes to try and rob him. But when he finds out that he doesn't have anything to rob, they kind of just kick it and become friends and play cards all night, and yeah, so they become friends over their shared poverty. And so when the Baron finally loses everything, the thief invites him to the slum, and he comes and lives with them. And it's a little subplot, and it's a kind of a big subplot at the beginning that basically it's really interesting. And as well as there's a whole subplot with the thief being arrested for the plot, and the inspector falling in love with the landlord's wife's sister, and the thief like rescuing her from him, and yeah, there's all that, and that's not in Kurosawa's version. Kurosawa, first of all, he sets it in Edo, Japan, in like ancient Edo times, and so everybody's in these really small huts, and there's a lot of different subplots. Like seems like there's a bigger subplot. I mean, they both deal with gambling, like the evils of what gambling can do to you. Although with Lower Depths, it seems like both movies have like a little bit of dark comedy. With Lower Depth, with the Renoir version, the comedy comes out between the situation that occurs between the thief and the Baron. But with the Lower Depths, with the Kurosawa version, the humor is between this ragtag kind of like group who gamble, and they sing this little song, about a quarter of the way through the movie, and they sing it at the end of the movie, and that's how their movie ends. Their movie ends with them singing the song, and they are interrupted by the news that the actor hung himself. And so that's when they kind of they kind of hate the actor for killing himself because it ruined their party. And that's actually the very last line of the movie. Yeah, apart from that, the other differences is, and in this movie, our favorite Toshiro Mifune plays the thief, and once again, he does it again, and he's just like, and there's all this suspense. There's a lot of suspense because we know Mifune's coming, and we don't know when. It's like, and he doesn't show up until about like 15 minutes into the film. So when his when he comes out of his room, and like the landlord's trying to talk to him, he's knocking on the door, and it's like it's locked, and he's like, come on out, and it's like, oh, come on, where's Mifune? He comes out, it's like, it's like, yeah, here we are, here I am, you've been waiting to see me, I mean, you get a little bit of that with Gabin, but it's a little less, the camera just cuts to the thief, to Gabin's thief character, and that's it, it's like, hey, Gabin, yay, but there's not a lot of suspenseful, like, because you don't know when he's coming. But with Mifune, they first talk about his character, and they're like, the landlord's looking for his character, and it's like, okay, so we know he's coming, there he is, that kind of thing. So, basically, and the other thing is, like I said, Kurosawa goes for the less happier ending, obviously ending on the actor, but also it isn't implied that the thief doesn't get out of jail, and both the thief and the wife are arrested, and it's not clear as to whether or not the husband, the landlord's wife's sister, doesn't forgive, becomes convinced that she is part of the plot, that she's going to get done away with, and so she totally rejects the. At one point, she starts to, kind of side with the thief. But at the end, when all this happens, she finally says, no, they were both in it together. I heard them. take him away, and so they both get arrested. And yeah, it's not unclear. The last few minutes, it's a little unclear, and it definitely needs another watch from my perspective. And I want to see it again because it's Kurosawa. But yeah, there's like a lot of so it's a little unclear as to the thief's fate and the landlord's wife's fate. So there's that, and then there's just a lot of other subplots. There's a character whose wife is dying and has this like horrible cough and can't is really short of breath, and so she speaks like very, very like I can't breathe, that kind of thing. So there's that, and of course the actor doesn't like this is just eccentric, and this is like this old man that the landlord's wife's sister brings in, whose past is kind of like questionable, and I guess he witnesses some of the fighting, and just when he actually runs away at some point, and so it's a little more complex. I think Kurosawa's version is a little more complex, probably a little more true to the play. It feels more like a play than Renoir's version. Renoir feels a little more romanticized, and all that. But so Renoir probably took a little more liberty. I feel like the only supplement with Renoir's version is a 5-minute introduction from Renoir, similar to the one we just saw. I forget the movie, but the one we just saw. Which one was that? He did an introduction for it, and it's on the top of my head. Oh, what was it? What was it? I just saw it. We just saw it. What was it? Oh, The Rules of the Game. I'm pretty sure it was The Rules of the Game. Yeah, he does a little introduction to that. So we get the little introduction with Renoir, and he explains that he didn't want it to feel like the Russian play. He wanted to be, have like no Russian ties. He wanted to make it, full-fledged French film. That's 4 Fs in a row. Kurosawa, on the other hand, doesn't feel like, it feels like he just adapted it more from the play. The sets are that's basically set in just this one little like alleyway where these two, these different huts, basically, and so it feels more like a play. The characters are, I think, a little, it's like I said, I don't feel like they took a lot of liberties with the Baron. There's no Baron or no happy ending. It feels like a lot of that was added by Renoir to try and remove it from the Russian play as much as possible without removing itself entirely from the Russian play. And so, you have 2 different, adaptations of the same play, and both work on their own, both work, And that's all I'm gonna say about it. Fantastic direction from both directors, both lead actors, or the classics. So, great performances, and just fantastic stuff. Ratings, Lower Depths, I'd give a B+. Just because it was just because of the fact that you could tell it was a little more romanticized than Kurosawa's version. Kurosawa, I'll give an A-. A- because it was a little confusing as to the plot. As to whether or not the main character's the fate at the end. I kind of wanted a little more of that. It just seemed to be a little more like just darker and just a little more just like, well, more moralistic than Renoir. But so anyway, so I'll give that an A-. So anyway, that's the films. Renoir's disc, like I said, the only supplement is a 5-6 minute introduction by Jean Renoir, and the Donzoko is, of course, we get the its section of the It Is Wonderful to Create series, 33-minute documentary where he talks about all the actors, the surviving actors talk about their experiences working with Kurosawa in the film. the actor who hangs from the. I think the one story I remember is the actor who hung from the. Hangs from this this pole or this like post, and Kurosawa told him to like hang with his feet and play this drum at the same time, and he says, "Oh, I couldn't do that," and stuff like that, and so yeah, so it's once again, it's the place to go if you want to know about some great behind-the-scenes stories of Kurosawa's films and how they were made. And so yeah, great. There's some cast biographies if you want to know more about the cast of the story. And yeah, that's about it. So Lower Depths, great films. Renoir gets a B+, Kurosawa gets an A-. But of course, you got to get this package because I think I might get this. I'll add this to the list. I don't think it's out of print. I'm pretty sure that it is not out of print. And yeah, I'm not going to bother looking. So yeah, so grab it. Too bad the sale's over. I know I'd probably maybe pick this one up. But yeah, Lower Depths, great stuff. Alright, so that's it for this week. Next week's going to be a little weird. Because we've got early summer, which will definitely be Monday. But then we've got the Stage and Spectacle box sets, The Golden Coach, French Can-Can, and Elena and Her Men, all 3 John Renoir films. And I actually have some plans. I may be at work on Thursday, so I'm not sure how I'm going to divvy these up. More than likely, we are going to have a day when we'll do a twofer. Like more than likely it'll be Wednesday. Wednesday we'll probably do The Golden Coach and The French Can-Can, and then we'll save. Although we might actually no, actually I'll take that back. We will do French Can-Can on Thursday, because I'll have time that evening to do it. So that's what we'll do. And yeah, and then the week after that we got Port of Shadows, which I got the VHS version. I'm not going to dig it out though. And then Eva Tellini, which is sitting somewhere over there as well. And then Slacker, which I'm still waiting on, and Videodrome, which I have too. And like I said, I'm still working on something different. I mean, it's nothing too fancy, but let's just say we may not be alone for the Videodrome review. We'll see. Depends on schedules and all that stuff and what my schedule is, and we'll see what happens. And yeah, so that's all I can say. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Don't lust after your landlord's wife and her sister at the same time. And don't kill yourself. Don't hang yourself, especially if you're an actor. Don't hang yourself. And yeah, that's basically it. So, and just try and hang on. If you're in poverty, just hang on, because hopefully the best is yet to come. And it's not great morals, but that's all I can say for this one. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on Monday for early summer. Early summer? Yeah, I thought it was, no, it's late spring. Late spring is the other one. This is early summer. Anyway, that's it for me, and we'll see you then. And until then, goodbye.